Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Put a smile on your face, it's a Friday, we've got lots of things to talk about. We've got the Europa League draw, the Goldbridge vlog's coming out. I've just been editing that, it's really good, but that's something very different to football, you might not watch it. But in relation to the football, big day for Manchester United with the Europa League, and also the Chelsea momentum starts to build now for what is a massive game against them as well. So lots to be excited about. But first of all, let's start off. We've got quite a few things to catch up on with. I just want to say as well, before we talk about Pogba and Haaland and Henderson and a few other things, Cavani as well, injury updates, I just want to say that we are in a really weird situation with Manchester United at the moment, where I woke up this morning and there's a lot of negativity. Like there's people actually ranting last night and saying what a shit show that was, what a joke, proves Solskjaer's not the right man. And I'm like, did I watch a different game? Seriously, did I watch a different game? This game of football was done. It was 4-0 and it was really about components. It wasn't about performance. And I actually thought the performance was good. After the first 15 minutes, we actually were level. I thought we were arguably the better team in that game. And yet Sociedad had everything to play for, playing for pride, good team, first team. I thought we played well. But the main thing that matters to me is that if you'd said to me that we'd have a positive performance from Tuanzebe, Eric Bay, Tellez and Diallo would get half an hour, I'd say, where do I shake? That'll do for me. And we got that. So I don't know. I just think some people want to be negative for negative's sake sometimes. I really, look, the only thing he got wrong for me was risking Rashford for 45 minutes. But everybody I wanted to get game time got game time, and it will stand them all in good stead. And it's a very difficult game to play in when you're 4-0 up. So I was very happy with it, and I think that's surprising me how people are moaning. But let's talk about Paul Pogba. A new injury blow for Paul Pogba. This is disappointing news, actually. It was on French reports. There were some reports in the English press last night. I think it's come directly from Ollie. Jack says, what about a Battle of Britain against Rangers? I'll give you the team I want us to get in the Europa League in a moment. But we're talking about Paul Pogba. So the latest story with Pogba is that he's still weeks away from coming back, which is really surprising because there was sort of an indication, and maybe we'll get more from the press conference quotes from Ollie at lunchtime, but there was an indication that Pogba was back in training. In fact, I'm sure I saw a picture of Pogba training a day ago at Carrington, and I felt that Solskjaer sort of was saying that he'll be back next week, maybe outside chance for the Manchester derby, but there's now talk that he's not over the groin injury and he'll be another few weeks away. So maybe he's trained and he's felt it again. I mean, to be honest with you, I almost want to whisper this quietly. Pogba's quite injury prone. Him leaving the club isn't necessarily a bad thing if he wants to leave, because he's quite injury prone. And if we keep him and give him huge money, I think you can guarantee that Pogba for the rest of his career is going to miss at least 6 weeks every season, which is a lot. He does pick up injuries, and he does tend to be out for a month at a time. That's what happens with Pogba. So this will be really disappointing because he's already out for up to a month, and if we're adding another 3 or 4 weeks on it, and it's funny because Solskjaer actually said after the game yesterday that the next 3 weeks are critical for our season. Well, if Pogba's out for another 3-4 weeks, we're missing him for a very, very long period of time, and we definitely do miss him. I mean, the creativity from the midfield wasn't there again yesterday, whether it's Tuanzebe and Matic or Fred and Matic, it's still a problem. McTominay and Matic, McTominay and Fred, there isn't enough creativity from that deep pivot that we play. So Pogba being out is a real blow, and it's a new blow. So I'm disappointed by that. Welcome to the Members Club, Ollie. But yeah, look, I do think Pogba will play again this season. I think there's some people saying that won't happen. I do think he'll be back this season. I think he'll be back for the game against the internationals, because he loves playing for France, doesn't he? So I think he'll be back for that. But Paul Pogba apparently out for another few weeks, when we were expecting him to start his process of coming back and maybe back in a couple of weeks. It now sounds like there's been an injury setback. And as I said, I'm pretty sure we'd seen him training. So I don't know what your thoughts are about that, but it is a blow. And look, we're playing okay. We're playing well at the moment, but we're also having performances like Newcastle where we get dominated in the midfield. And whatever you think about Paul Pogba, and yeah, we do need to strengthen in that area, but we can't do it until the summer. I really wish Paul Pogba was fit and playing right now, because we do miss him in that midfield area and it could cause us problems. Mark, just on De Gea, if he's world class, surely 50 million would be a bargain for the top clubs. Maybe he's not on that level anymore, says Joshua Harper. I'm happy to bring this in, Joshua. It's a fake injury, so he can be sold. Well, it's a bit early to do a fake injury. Joshua, to be fair, with all due respect, your comment makes no sense because £50 million probably is a bargain for David De Gea. I think a lot of clubs would pay £50 million for David De Gea, definitely. I think Juventus would do it. I think PSG would do it. I think there are teams in Spain that would do it. But you're forgetting the wages, Joshua. This is the thing. He's on £18 million a year. £18 million a year. Ramos wants £14 million. David Alaba wants £12 million. And they are centre-backs who are, world-class centre-backs. So who's going to pay £18 million a year to a goalkeeper who's got 3.5 years left on the contract? So I think there would be clubs out there that would go for David De Gea at about 50 million, but they're not going to pay him £18 million a year, and that's the problem. Manchester United have well and truly committed to David De Gea, and they have to stick with him because otherwise we'll be in financial ruin again. We can't afford to not back David De Gea. I've said this. But just on this very quickly, The Athletic are talking this morning about Dean Henderson, and I do think this story has become way bigger than it should be. Every day we're getting different people talking about this, and there's a story this morning from The Athletic saying that Dean Henderson is not prepared to spend another season as the understudy to David De Gea and will be seeking the number one spot or a move in the summer. Well, has anybody ever looked at this from David De Gea's position? Because David De Gea's actually had a very good season. I'll argue this with anybody, but he has had a good season. I would be mightily pissed off if I was David De Gea, and nobody ever tells the De Gea story. Why should David De Gea only play in the Premier League? He's not playing in the FA Cup, he's not playing in the Europa League because he's having to share the role with a goalkeeper that we've given 140k a week to. So I'm sure Henderson's not happy, but I wouldn't be happy if I was De Gea. And nobody ever tells that story because he's Spanish and he's not English. And effectively, this is why they don't tell that. It's never De Gea's side of the story. It's always, Dino, Hendo, he's not happy, he's not playing enough games. Well, I tell you what, I'd be bloody fuming if I was De Gea. I'd be in Ollie's office and I'd be saying, I'm not happy because we ain't winning the Premier League because you haven't got a team good enough to win the Premier League. We might win the FA Cup and we might win the Europa League and I won't be getting a winner's medal because I'm having to share it with him. What's going on at this football club? I'm the best paid player at the football club. I would expect to be playing in most of the games. I don't want to share the role with Dean. It's not his fault, but I don't want to share the role. And then you've got Henderson saying, I want to play Premier League games as well. One of them has to be the goalkeeper. I think we all agree on that. And the club has mismanaged this situation to a ridiculous point of view. And one of them's got to go in the summer. I agree with Joshua. One of them's got to go in the summer. And the club have mismanaged this situation. But what we never see is we never hear it from David De Gea's side. And I would be fuming if I would be as angry as Henderson is if I was De Gea, because I'd be like, hold on a minute, I've played well this season. So apart from this bias in the English press trying to make out that I haven't, I've played well this season. Why am I not playing in the Europa League? Most teams will play their best goalkeeper in the big tournaments, and you're not doing that. So the club have mismanaged it, I think. But going back to what I've said before, I think that Dean Henderson is the easiest player to sell because he's on the more realistic wages, and I think there will be clubs that want to buy Dean Henderson. I think David De Gea is unobtainable for every club in the world because of his wages. They're just too much, and the contract is too long. So he won't take a pay cut. So yeah, but to be honest with you, the story is becoming boring. It's different outlets every day talking about a problem that we what annoys me? This annoys me just very quickly is that it's like the centre-back issue. We've been talking about Maguire and Lindelof being no good for about 8 months. And the press and the media are only just picking up on it now. They still haven't figured out that Eric Bailly is our best centre-back. They're only just saying, well, I think Maguire and Lindelof are a problem. 8 months we've all been talking about it. Fans have been talking about it. The goalkeeper situation, again, it's like, oh, this is the problem. We said this in the summer when they signed Henderson on 140k and gave him a 5-year contract. We all said, what the bloody hell is going to happen then because you can only pick one goalkeeper? Slow sports news. Welcome to the Members Club, Chris Siddle. I hope I'm not going to get hiccups. I really hope we're not. I don't know where Romero is, Exon. I've got no idea. And Darren says, how do you know he won't take a pay cut, Darren? Darren, wake up and smell the coffee. It is the morning. Are you, seriously, Darren, right? If you are on 18 million a year and Ollie comes to you and says, I'm not going to pick you anymore, but Juventus want you and they'll give you 8 million a year, are you going to go, I've always quite fancied Turin and I've always quite fancied losing 10 million a year over the next 3 years? I'd be like, up yours. You find me a club that's going to pay me 18 million a year, or I'm not going anywhere because I should be number one. I believe I should be number one. I ain't taking a pay cut for this bullshit media-driven kicking me out the club for an English keeper. So I would definitely not. 100%. And people will say, well, you're a mercenary, but why should I have over a 50% pay cut because of the club's incompetence? Dream on. We don't live in that world anymore. And I for one, back players on that. I do back players on that. It's not the players' fault that they've been given. It's not Harry Maguire's fault he cost 80 million. It's not David De Gea's fault the club gave him 18 million. And I would not take a pay cut to help the club out. No way. And I don't think anybody would. The draw is at midday, Ross Quinn. We will be live for the draw at midday on the United Stand. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, to get your notification. Just as a little, very, very quickly, because I want to talk about a few more transfer stories. The 3 teams I would like us to draw, I want the easiest draw possible. We have got a lot of injury problems at the moment. I don't mind playing the harder teams, but at this point, we're not even in the quarterfinals yet. We're into the round of 16 now. I want an easy draw. Now, I know some of you are wanting Arsenal and you're wanting Rangers. You could say it's an easy draw, Arsenal. But the reality is I don't want those teams. I want the easiest draw we can get, because is it not about trying to win this tournament now? And is it not about having the easiest route to the final? So I would like Mulder. I would like Prague. I would like that Swiss side that I'm not going to say. There is a part of me that wants Rangers for the glamour of it, to be honest. But realistically, I'll be over the moon if we get Mulder, Prague, or that Swiss team. I'm not saying they're a walk in the park. They've all won to get through to the last 16, but they'd be easier on paper than a Tottenham, than an Arsenal, than an AC Milan, than Shakhtar and teams like that. Don't worry about getting a new CDM. We've got Axel, who's clearly the reincarnation of Keane himself, says Dara Conlon. And we got Rangers in the simulated draw, says Chris Siddle. I just hope we don't get an English team, because I tell you what, you do not want Arsenal. We don't want to be... Arsenal season's over. They're not even competing for the top 8. So Arsenal will throw everything into those games. There'll be Battle of Britain bloody games. And then we'll be playing on the Sunday in Premier League games that we need to win. I would rather get Mulder. I'd be over the moon with that. I really, really would. As for Tuanzebe at CDM, he even came out and said himself, I was thrown in there. I'm happy to do a job there. My best position is centre-back. And I think that's the thing. He did a good job last night. I was over the moon for him, but he's not the centre defensive midfielder solution. And anybody who thinks that he is, you're just letting the Glazers off the hook again. This is square pegs in round holes. We're Manchester United. Do you think Manchester City or Liverpool are going to get a centre back and turn them into a CDM to save money? They're going to go and buy a proper CDM. Tuanzebe did really well last night, but let's be honest, even he admits that's not, he's a centre-back playing out of position. So why are we moulding people into positions to save money for our owners to take dividends out of the club? The demand should be for a proper centre defensive midfielder. If we want to win titles, we need to bring specialists in. Just got to say it, Jose warned us on De Gea contract when it was ready for renewal. He highlighted everything wrong with the club, says Joshua Lucas. Well, yeah, it's the same. I've spoken about this before. Fabinho did, says Jaden King. Fabinho was not... Jaden, go and check out Fabinho's background. So you're now going to compare one of the Premier League's best centre defence midfielders, who was bought as a centre defensive midfielder, who has played at centre back because they've got an injury crisis. You're now trying to say that Tuanzebe's Fabinho, even though you've got it arse about face. Fabinho is a CDM who's gone to centre back. Tuanzebe is a centre back that's not been used at centre back that you're now saying can play at CDM. Can you just do a little bit of research? Fabinho was a player we wanted and spoke about on this channel for years before Liverpool bought him. He was actually playing more at right back for Monaco. He can play at centre back, and then he became a CDM for Monaco with Bakayoko when Monaco were really good, and that's what Liverpool bought him as, and that's what we were talking at. Fabinho was bought as a CDM. He is versatile, but he was bought as a CDM. This has got no correlation with Axel Tuanzebe, and this is why the Glazers get away with not spending money, because plonkers start turning one performance into Tuanzebe can be our Fabinho. I tell you what, let's try, if Dean Henderson's unhappy, why don't we try him up front on Sunday instead of Martial, being as everyone hates him? We might not need to buy a striker as well. Hendo can do the job. Crazy. Transfer news, talking about striker as well. Is Henderson out for 12 weeks or is that not true, says Salah Ahmed. I've not heard anything about Henderson at all. We're not a Liverpool channel. You're talking about Jordan Henderson. I couldn't give a shit about Jordan Henderson. He's a Liverpool player. Yeah, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks with a groin injury. But that's Jordan Henderson. It's not Dean Henderson. Bloody hell, you'll get people panicking. I tell you what, though, just, Bruno Fernandes gets a lot of stick, doesn't he, from rivals. He actually gets a lot of stick from some fans who supposedly support Manchester United. But to all the haters of Bruno Fernandes, nobody's hit the woodwork more than him this season. And yet, he's got the best stats anyway. But he's also hit the woodwork. What a player Bruno Fernandes is. On every level, he sits down his critics because he could have way more goals from open play if he hadn't hit the woodwork. So unbelievable from Bruno. That's a really interesting stat, I think. But just talking about Erling Haaland, I know some people feel that we've got a chance of signing Erling Haaland. I don't. I really don't. But Dortmund have been talking about Erling Haaland. Is it Michael Zorc? It is Michael Zorc. I've got the name imprinted on my brain after last summer and the whole 90% club nonsense. So he's basically been saying that Raiola talking to the BBC. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, this is the insight with Mino Raiola. We get it with Pogba, but other clubs get it as well. And wherever Haaland gets, Raiola will still open his gob every bloody month. So Raiola was talking to the BBC about Haaland, saying that there's 10 clubs interested in him. We'll have to see what's going to happen. I bet Riola's so excited. He's thinking about that money he's going to make off this player throughout his career. But Zorc has basically come out and said, look, we don't take any notice of Mino in a polite way. The reality is that he's a Dortmund player. He's happy here. We've spoken to him and, there's no reason to think that, he can't sign for 10 clubs. And he won't be signing for 10 clubs, so we'll see what happens. So I don't think Dortmund have almost moved attention to Haaland now, haven't they? And they're going to do with Haaland what they wanted to happen with Sancho last year didn't happen. They wanted a bidding war. They wanted to get top dollar for Sancho, and they didn't get it. They know with Haaland they've got an option this summer. They can either keep him or they can let him go. And if they let him go, it's open season because there are going to be a lot of clubs and there's a lot of money for Dortmund to make out of Haaland this summer, and they'll be very excited as well. Nobody will replicate Rio and Vidic in the back. Also, what do you think will happen to Lingard when his loan ends, says Mialeo? Well, there's talk of Jesse Lingard being in the England European squad. I'd be very surprised. I hope he does get in, but you think about Lingard getting into the England squad and he's playing as a number 10, isn't he, for West Ham? And you think about those areas. You've got Mason Mount, you've got Phil Foden, you've got Jack Grealish, you've then got Sterling, Rashford, Sancho. I mean, Harvey Barnes should get a shout as a winger as well. So as much as Lingard's putting himself into the conversation, there is a lot of competition for Lingard there. And there's some good wingers and there's some good number 10s. And I think Lingard will struggle to get in. It's like if Dele Alli starts playing well, how do you get into that squad at the moment? There's so much talent there. So I think Lingard will be knocking on the door. I think I can see him being a standby, and maybe if there's a couple of injuries. But then, James Maddison's another one. He's having a great season. So Lingard probably would normally be knocking on the door for the England squad, but there's so much talent there. I don't know. I don't know whether I would take Lingard over Mount or a Grealish or a Foden or a Barnes or a Sterling or a Rashford or a Sancho. Maybe even a Greenwood. So Lingard is doing well, but he's just got to keep doing well and see what happens because the Euros are coming. And he will be quite fresh for the Euros. That'll be something Southgate thinks about. Lingard's not played a full season like everybody else, so that freshness goes in his favour. Luke Shaw, more importantly, looks like he will get called up to the England squad. And look, Luke Shaw should be England's left back. Name me a better English left back than Luke Shaw. There isn't one. There literally isn't a better left back in England than Luke Shaw. And he has to be the first choice left back, 100%. So, yeah, he will surely get picked in that. Who should be England number 1, says John. Well, I mean, this is the problem. I think this is why there is a big push from the British media for Dean Henderson to play more games. Dean Henderson will go to the England squad. And to be honest with you, if we do well in the Europa, he will be playing three games a month for Man United. So, and the FA Cup as well. So there are games there for Dean Henderson to be playing in. He won't be playing that. If you think about Pickford and you think about Pope, they've got no cup football and they're only playing league games. So Dean Henderson is going to be playing around the same sort of games as them. But whether Southgate will see it like that, I don't know. I would rather have Pope than him, though. Pickford. What did you see of Bruno yesterday as captain, says Salah Ahmed? I saw nothing different with Bruno as captain yesterday. I think Bruno is a leader on the pitch regardless. I certainly don't think we missed Harry Maguire. I mean, that's a raging debate, Salah, and we'll be talking about it on the preview tonight at 8 o'clock. But I can't get into it now because it's a news show, but I don't know what people are thinking about this morning, but I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned that we still persist with Maguire and Lindelof. Forget which one you're going with. I'll leave that up to Ollie. But it's really hard as a United fan to understand this because, as I said, the mainstream media, ex-players are waking up to this now. Slowly, but they have woken up to it. We've been talking about it for ages. And I don't mean like the United stand. I mean United fans in general have been talking about this for ages. That Maguire and Lindelof are our worst centre-back pairing. And yet, in every big game, he goes with Maguire and Lindelof. And they are not good. But when we play Eric Bailly, everybody looks good. Dean Henderson yesterday had nothing to do, apart from that shot that he spilt, which I'm not really bothered about. He had nothing to do. And Bailly played again. Last week against Sociedad, he had nothing to do. Across 2 games, Dean Henderson had nothing to do against Real Sociedad, which is amazing. And in both those games, Eric Bailly played. One he played with Maguire, one he played with Lindelof. There's a big message here that Eric Bailly is the one that has to play. The balance of the team is so much better. The defence is so much better. But you can guarantee on Sunday we're probably going to go back to Maguire and Lindelof. And this is what should be on the front pages of any Man United or on the top line of anything you want to discuss at the moment. This should be what Ollie is asked about in press conferences. And they won't do it. They'd rather talk about Henderson and De Gea, which is irrelevant until the summer anyway, because the decision will be made in the summer. But right here, right now, this could be the difference between winning the Europa League, winning the FA Cup, getting into the top 4. This is a decision that can be made right now because although we need to buy a centre-back, and we do, right here, right now, our best centre-back is Eric Bailly and one of Maguire and Lindelof plays with him. But Ollie won't do it. And I cannot find a reason for it. In whether it's tactically, leadership, the way we play, there is nothing that verifies why we pick Maguire and Lindelof. In fact, it clearly causes us more problems. And yet Ollie and his coaches seem to be the only people in the world who think that Maguire and Lindelof are the best pairing that we've got. But that's the big thing for me. Mark, apparently Barca and Madrid have bags of cash for summer despite reports of financial difficulties. Mbappe and Haaland videos expected, says Joshua Harper. I haven't heard that, Joshua, but it is interesting because both those clubs need huge cash injections. In reality, Real Madrid and Barcelona are where we are. They are sleeping giants of football who need investment. And they will go and do it because Barcelona and Real Madrid only care about being the best team in the world and the best team in Spain. And they will find the money somehow, even though they're in massive debt. Manchester United won't, because our owners aren't bothered about being the best team in the world. They just want to make money out of a franchise they've bought, because that's what they see it as, a franchise. We see it as a bloody football club. So yes, I do think Mbappe should move. I do think Mbappe should move, but whether he'll go or not, I don't know. Ollie probably does not want to do it because of Maguire's price tag, says Thomas Richmond. But we'll play Maguire and Bailly. Play Maguire and Bailly then. He's never going to drop Maguire, if that's what you mean. Yeah, definitely. And what time is the draw? It's at midday, Akshat. So we'll be live again in just over an hour's time. You can join us for that. We will be live with the Europa League draw. I'm hoping we get Mulder or Prague or the Swiss side, because I think they're the easiest 3 teams on paper. And also it'd be nice for Ollie to get Mulder, because it'll be the easiest game of the draw, I think. And also there's a bit of bit of romance for Ollie there. He's not in love with Mulder. He used to manage them. He's not having a secret affair or anything like that. Don't start anything like that. So, but Ollie did say last night we're improving the culture in the club, which is interesting. We're a work in progress, aren't we? We've heard that before. Joshua says, I heard Graham Hunter talking about it this week, hoping Barca president's expected to get a load of credit and Perez has been saving for Mbappe. They won't. You're right, Joshua. They won't. They're big clubs. They won't just accept that they're in debt and let's just fall apart, because they are falling apart as football clubs. They will spend to succeed. And I respect Real Madrid and Barcelona for that, because they put the value of their football club above anything else. And if they've got to spend their way out of trouble, they'll do it. And they do need to. Like, I don't watch the Liga anymore, but I do keep an eye on the squads of Barcelona and Real Madrid, and they are not good enough squads they're not even good enough squads to win their own domestic league, which is embarrassing. But they're nowhere near good enough to win the Champions League at the moment. Can you call my Uncle Paul a prat, as he's a Liverpool fan, says Samuel Jones. I think Liverpool fans have suffered enough, Samuel, at the moment. Mark doesn't ignore Super Chats, hacker man. He always goes back and checks them now. So if you do Super Chats, I will always check them before the end of the show. So, you've been sat down. Andreas Pereira, I just want to talk about him for a moment. He will be a problem in the summer. He will be back at Manchester United in the summer. He's hardly played any games at all for Lazio, isn't it? And Lazio are not having a bad season, but he's a problem. I think he's a problem we're just going to have to write off. I don't want him back at Manchester United taking up a shirt, so that would be a big mistake. What did you see of Bruno? What did you see of Bruno as a captain? We've done that. Thank you, McKenna7. Nobody... Is Henderson out for 12 weeks? Is Henderson injury news true, or is it not, says Salah Ahmed. It's all to do with Dean Henderson, that. Joshua Lucas, just going to say that as well. Don't worry about getting a new CDM, says Dara Conlon. We've done that. We got the Rangers in the simulated draw. I need to applaud you constantly finding transfer news with the broad that we have, says NG. Thanks for the contribution there. And Battle of Britain against Rangers. I've actually covered all the super chats, so I don't even know what that troll was on about. Sometimes you get sucked in. Sometimes you do, unfortunately. Just very quickly on Cavani. Obviously, Cavani, massive game against Chelsea. We're going to be talking about the Chelsea. Well, we're not even talking about the Chelsea game yet, really, because I thought this morning we would be talking about the Chelsea game, but actually we've got the Europa League draw at midday, so we're still very much about the Europa League draw. But once the Europa League draw is out the way, we will have Ollie's press conference reaction around 2 o'clock today, and the preview will be on the 8 o'clock show. Massive game, but we need to do the Europa League draw. But just very quickly, a little look ahead to the Chelsea game. There is hope that McTominay, Cavani and Van der Beek will be back for that game. How fit they're going to be is really questionable. I would hope they were close to being involved against Sociedad, and Ollie just went, nah. So hopefully they've been training this week, and what I'm trying to say is, if they haven't trained, they can't play against Chelsea, because you can't just have one training session and play. Hopefully they've been training all week. They just weren't quite ready for Sociedad, and they're fit for the Chelsea game. But on Cavani, still this talk of Boca Juniors, and there's a story that Manchester United are going to wait for Cavani to come back from injury and make a decision then. The concern being that he has had a couple of muscle injuries already, and let's see what happens with him between now and the end of the season. There might be a bit of pressure from Cavani's side to say, look, if you don't give me something soon, I'm going to go to Boca. But I think United have to be clever here. There is no point in committing funds to a striker that, whilst he's good, is going to be out every few weeks with a muscle injury, which is what is happening at the moment. So I think United are quite wise to that. And I do think that Cavani wants to stay in Europe because of the World Cup next year with Uruguay. So I think Cavani will stay. And I think very much like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we're just going to have to be patient and wait until May and see what's happening. Because at the moment, things look good with Ole. We've had a really good week. We've beat Sociedad. We've beat Newcastle. We're still second in the league. We're into the Europa League last 16. But things can change very, very quickly. Things could change in the next 3 days. We could pull out a really hard team at lunchtime, and we could lose to Chelsea on Saturday, on Sunday, draw with Palace, and then lose to Man City. 1 point from your next 9, you might find yourself in 5th. So the games are coming thick and fast, and that Chelsea game gets me excited already. But the Europa League draw is what's going to get me excited first. Please subscribe, by the way. Bottom right hand corner, I do need to update the whole shield. It's the wrong date and it's got the wrong number on there, but we're on the road to 1 million. Bottom right hand corner to subscribe. We're getting closer and closer, so please subscribe. If you have subscribed, smash a like on the video and share the video. Might pull some new people in who will subscribe. That quest to get to 1 million is there. And please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Also subscribe, and if you have subscribed, make sure you click the bell tick to get all notifications, because we will be live with the Europa League draw on this channel in just over an hour's time. So who do you want in the Europa League draw? For me, I want Mulder, Prague or the Swiss side. which I'm not going to name because it just gets clipped and people says, oh, Goldbridge likes, and I'm not going to say it. But I think there is some people in our fan base that want Arsenal, that want Rangers. And you know what? If you've watched this show for any period of time, you'll know that's normally what I would say. I would say, nah, I want the toughest team. I want us to be tested. But common sense says, if we're going to try and do the Premier League top 4 and win the Europa League, we need some help. And the Premier League ain't going to let us play bloody, well, I nearly said Sheffield United every week, but they'd beat us. We're not going to get any help in the Premier League because you play everybody twice and the fixtures are what the fixtures are. If we can get help in the Europa League, look, I would love to get the worst teams in the Europa League all the way through to the final, because the less intense the games are, the better at this point. Welcome to the Members Club, Benjamin. And do you think Ollie plays brave enough to win titles, says Ben Henderson. We'll have to wait and see. Bilal wants Mulder. Hussein wants Rangers. Hanan wants Young Boys. And I want Arsenal to draw Galvatron. Galvatron says I want Arsenal to draw Tottenham. That would be funny. There is a team called Young Boys in the tournament from Switzerland, which is the team I've been avoid talking about. But a few people apparently want Young Boys from Switzerland, which I think is not a joke because they are one of the weaker teams left in the tournament. Although they did well, didn't they? They did knock a good side out. Ajax would be. Ajax is not a team I want because I think we can beat Ajax, but we know the way they play football. And I watched Ajax play Liverpool before Christmas in the Champions League, and they played well. And I think that would be a really hard draw. I would put Ajax up there with the English clubs. I don't want Spurs. I don't want Arsenal. I don't want Ajax. AC Milan, I mean, I don't think they're as good as people think they are. I don't think Italian football can really handle the top European leagues at the moment because of the pace issue. But yeah, I want Mulder. I really do. What do you think of Anthony Martial, Mark? Says Axel. I think Anthony Martial played well last night. I think haters are going to hate. I think there's a lot of people who've given up on Martial. I don't agree with that, but I think that's why they will not give him any credit. I think he's going to have to do more than last night to get their credit, which in some ways I understand. But I actually think Martial's performance last night is one of the best performances he's had in a long time, and that's improvement for me. For me, Martial was going down the graph, and last night he was back up. He's still got a long way to go, but that was definitely better from Martial last night. So, and I would say if Cavani is not ready, then Martial plays at number 9, because I still think Martial's our best number 9 if Cavani's not fit. And the reason for that, and we saw it last night, his hold-up play, his ability to run the channels, and his work rate in that number 9 is good. All right, his positional sense is not as good as Cavani in the box, and he's not scoring the goals, but as a number 9, he does do the job better than Rashford and Greenwood at the moment. So I would go Martial if Cavani's not quite ready. Better is not good enough though, says Danny Ward. But Danny, he's a Man United player. Like I have sympathy there because better is not good enough. What do you want him to do then? Should we just go round his house now and say, Martial, let's pack your bags, you're off? Like, we're in February. Like, we can't buy anybody. He is a Manchester United player and we need to get the best out of him. What happens in the... I think people get lost in moments of now. They can't live in the future. They can't plan. And in football, this is very important. You've got people who want Ollie out right now. You've got people who want Henderson in right now and De Gea out right now. They want Martial out right now. They want Pogba sold right now. None of these things can happen till the summer. So between now and then, it's about let's see what happens, and it's about trying to get the best out of these situations. And I thought Martial did well last night, but he could be terrible again on Sunday if he plays, and that's the problem, isn't it? Ollie will start more reserves in an easier draw, says Matthew Larney. Yes, definitely. Right. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll be back in just about an hour's time for the Europa League draw. I'll set the stream up now so you can get in the super chat. It's not the super chats, in the live comments, and have a chat about who you want. But yeah, the excitement builds for the Europa League. We're going to be live at midday for that one. I'll open up the stream for you in the next 5 minutes so you can be on the live comments chatting before we go live. Press conference at about 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock Chelsea preview. So busy day today. Make sure you subscribe so you've got your notifications on, and I'll speak to you in a bit.